Is Adobe Commerce the magical pill to solve all of your e-commerce woes? You know, those limited budgets, slow website performance, and yes, analytics that say everything except for why customers don't purchase. So in this video, I will demonstrate how Adobe Commerce Optimizer might just be that solution for you. But lest you think I am somehow this optimizer fanboy, I will balance it out with 3 ways where it might not be a good fit. For example, if you rely on a specific type of customizations, you should be looking for something else. Now, if you're thinking, wait, Joseph, so what is Adobe Commerce Optimizer? Isn't that like Magento or something? I actually pulled together a video with all the details, so that's right up here. Just click that link and it'll show you everything that you need to know. So let's jump in to see if this is the game changer that your business has been looking for.
Let's do it, I'm pumped.
And let's start out with number 1 being, who hasn't been frustrated by visiting a slow website? And that frustration is only 10x if it's our website. Slowness is a big umbrella. Every page could be slow, worst case. Maybe some random pages are slow occasionally. Maybe loading a website is acceptable on your desktop, but like a turtle when you're on your phone in the field. You might send a marketing email and your website goes down. Adobe Commerce Optimizer takes a different approach. Your catalog is served from Adobe servers and not yours. So whether you're on Magento, SAP, NetSuite, Salesforce, Commerce Cloud, etc., your customer's experience is no longer dictated by systems where, unfortunately, e-commerce is a checkmark or an afterthought. Adobe servers then provide all the relevant information to this front-end experience that your customers are actually browsing. Another thing to consider is how much data is actually transferred. We live in this age where everything is on Wi-Fi and thus internet is super fast. But what about customers, again, in the field with 2 bars of LTE coverage? Or maybe our international buyers that have really bad internet. I've seen Adobe Commerce Optimizer reduce page sizes by 3/4 or more. So in other words, 15 megabytes down to 3 or 4, maybe 5 megabytes. That is a significant reduction. So passing data to your visitors with a bigger pipeline is helpful. And Adobe Commerce Optimizer has tools to do that. But also reducing how much data goes through that pipeline is also a win. Optimizer does that too. The second win with Optimizer is it's a path to modernization. So if you're looking at your legacy site and thinking, wow, the replatform process seems really overwhelming and extremely expensive, I'm with you. It does make sense sometimes to go through this full replatform journey, but Optimizer does give you another option. So here's how it works. Optimizer ends up taking over your critical SEO-facing pages, which are at the top of your funnel. So homepage, category page, product page, and content pages. And then it leaves the cart, the checkout, and the customer account on the old systems. Pop quiz. So where is the expense most often with a replatform? Well, usually we find it's the business logic, the checkout customization, and the customer account changes that are representative of the largest majority of customizations and cost. And that's the expense that is entirely avoided by just focusing on this subset of pages with Adobe Commerce Optimizer. Now, Optimizer could potentially also be a problem in this way, and I will discuss it at the end as to maybe perhaps a reason why you shouldn't use Optimizer. We'll talk about that later. But before this becomes awkward and you think I'm contradicting myself, I promise I'm not, but let's move on to this third point. And that is, if you're struggling with poor search, maybe difficulty in managing content on category pages, or even sorting products with basic adequacy, Optimizer will be appealing. And so this is the third point, talking about merchandising. Because your product catalog is fed into, jargon alert, Adobe's composable catalog data model, also called, jargon alert, CCDM, you now have at your disposal the automatic tuning of results, both static on category pages and dynamic on your search page. You can start then from a really solid foundation and then of course have controls to iterate on that to improve what is returned when. Additionally, Adobe is making some significant investments into AI, which does have influence over these search results and the product recommendations. The cool thing is their generative AI system, although not entirely related, but it is a benefit here to merchandising. They call it Adobe Firefly, which is included in this Adobe Commerce Optimizer suite. One use for this potentially is to create different backgrounds for a given product. I'm going to shoot straight as always. If you're already on Adobe Commerce, this won't have as much impact on you because you have live search at your disposal. But on the other hand, I do find that not many merchants are using this, even though it's fully available to them and already baked into their licensing costs, often because it does take a little time to get set up. Now, there are two more problems that Optimizer solves before we look at the other side of the coin and identify why Optimizer just might not be the very best fit for you. So point number 4 is I consistently hear from merchants that their analytics have problems. Attribution is broken, revenue is off, and in some cases, I've actually seen where visitors are double tracked. So Optimizer does simplify these analytics, but it brings something to the table that really isn't even possible with Google Analytics 4, and that is smart AI-powered A/B tests. I call this the full picture because while GA4 gives you plenty of information, it misses this connection between what users are doing and what made the users take this action. If you have the tools built in to launch A/B tests, let them run and have help interpreting the results, the outcome is you are much more autonomous as a power e-commerce operator. Which leads me on to point number 5, and that is clunky content deployment. Isn't that a common problem? In fact, I'd be rich for every time I hear a merchant say, but it's really hard to format my content. It is a real common problem. What would you think about using Google Docs or something similar to create pages on your website? Well, we actually write the content in Google Docs or something similar. What about preview and publish from that same interface? That sounds amazing. It is up to your team, of course, to write this, and publishing becomes the easy part. And that is part of the suite of solutions that Optimizer brings to the table. It's a wide-ranging variety of solutions to common problems. So if this sounds amazing, maybe I've convinced you, but I think it's really important still to review all of the needs that your organization has to ensure this does align with the solutions that Optimizer brings to the table. Maybe you're just so convinced you don't need any more conversation, you're sold on it. So at that point, there's probably a Mr. Beast or Dude Perfect video over here. Just go watch that and have a much more entertaining day. But if you're one of those super objective people, keep watching. Just kidding, because I know no matter how excited you are, it is critical that you understand both sides of this conversation. So let's talk about some reasons why not to use Optimizer. Number 1, you're already on a modern platform like Shopify or BigCommerce or perhaps a solid headless solution. These platforms are already pretty good out of the box. Is there room for improvement? Yeah, of course, there always is. But if your site is slow, then fixes are likely to be easy. The one thing to consider though is this unified catalog data model, and that's one of the areas that Optimizer does shine. So it can actually pull data from Shopify or BigCommerce and basically unify the management experience across multiple websites and then feed it out into a front end. So if a move from BigCommerce is sounding important or necessary for a variety of reasons, you can still kind of keep that BigCommerce or Shopify or whatever website, and the data is fed into this central data repository, the catalog data model, and it can then be served out as desired. So if you're on Shopify for one website, you probably don't have any need to consider Optimizer. But if you are in consideration or you're struggling, maybe you have a whole bunch of websites, you have a similar data sets, Optimizer might be an interesting option to consider. You're probably curious to know, how does Whova impact this? You know, Whova is that really amazing theme for Magento. In my opinion, it's slightly different, but it's still roughly in line of thinking as I put Shopify and BigCommerce. Modern web stack already that you're pretty happy with. Whova is this front end, so you have to remember that if the business logic, if the guts of your Magento website are super slow, a new front end doesn't fix that at all. So you might have a Whova website, but you can still have slow pages as a result. And at that point, it warrants a conversation. Do we fix it up? Or at that point, maybe Optimizer is a better solution because it completely bypasses a slow backend for the initial visitor experience. So number 2 is perhaps you rely on a significant number of customizations. Optimizer is not a drag and drop solution if you have heavy customization. Now, apps do exist for this new solution, but there's not a lot of them right now. This is still in the earlier phases of Optimizer adoption. And again, do not get me wrong, you can customize anything. Now, Adobe does have the App Exchange, which uses App Builder, the tool that they have built to facilitate customizations and e-commerce enhancements. But the cool thing about that is it's connected to their full suite of capabilities. That is the new route to bring customizations to the table. And Adobe, at this point of this recording, is working very hard to bring in new tools, new opportunities into this App Exchange. I do also suggest that you reconsider what all you have running on your front end of your website. Because remember, everything that was built 4 years ago with really good business plans does have an impact on the slow website as it stands today. And finally, number 3, perhaps you are leery of an additional cost. I hate to break it to you, but there will be an ongoing cost to Optimizer. It's not free. Then again, neither is Magento or WordPress or other open source tools. They do all have a cost associated with them. And as of this recording, no pricing has been published, but I do know for a fact there will be an associated cost. Here's the trade-off: less ongoing cost to stick with your current e-commerce system and bolt on Optimizer, or a massive but potentially risky migration that will cost more upfront, but then likely less in the long run. The other thing to note here is Optimizer is a very unique stepping stone. You can go to Adobe Commerce, or to be frank, you could work toward any modern e-commerce backend at that point. Shopify, BigCommerce, whatever, you can use it actually as a stepping stone in that direction. In other words, get the top of your funnel pages streamlined, then as you have budget and willingness for some effort, rebuild the rest of the experience in time. So there is your review of Adobe Commerce Optimizer and the problems that it solves, but also the challenges that it could introduce if you are not properly prepared. We at SwiftOtter here have the difficult conversations to dive in and understand exactly your business needs to ensure that you are 100% equipped with no surprises through the process. If you're interested in Adobe Commerce Optimizer as a solution for your website, email me, joseph@swiftotter.com, and I would love to help walk you through this process and bring some of our really talented team to help you identify the best route forward to modernize your e-commerce experience. Until next time.